It's always sad to say goodbye to summer, but it's always fun to look forward to starting school with some new supplies.
But is it in your back-to-school budget? How much you can expect to pay this year and who's lending a hand to those who need help? Then. The familiar hog call now officially trademarked. Plus, taxidermy with a twist. Question is, would you do it?
From stories that I've heard, it's just nasty.
The thing is that we all deal with it differently.
These stories and much more as KNWA News at 5 starts right now.
Now, from the station proudly serving the Northwest Arkansas community, this is KNWA News at 5 in high definition.
Happy Friday, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Jonathan Martinez. Neely Jones is on assignment. We'll check in with her and meteorologist Gina DeVecchio in just a moment to find out what they're doing at this local Walmart. But first, a third straight day, in fact, fourth straight day of unseasonably low temps along with some clouds in the sky. So is a warm-up on the way for the weekend is the question. Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff is standing by with some answers. Hey, Dan.
Jonathan, you better believe it, a warm-up is on the way. Temperatures are going to be topping off in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow, lower 90s over next week, and then the heat really cranks up. But is there going to be another cool blast like we saw this week? By the end of next week, I'll explain that coming up in the weather forecast. First of all, let me give you a taste of what's to come. Overnight tonight, it is going to be a cool night. So if you like this type of weather, you like the coolness and the non-typical weather that we're seeing in the middle of July, enjoy it tomorrow morning. That's going to be the last of the low humidity for the next 7 days. Temperatures right now in the lower 70s. So we did warm up into the lower 70s. That's warmer than yesterday, but still we did hit the low maximum temperature record. You'll see that coming up in just a bit. Forecast first, it's going to be warm and sunny with already mid-70s at noon. So we've got a warm-up. We'll talk about it in weather.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Dan. Happening now, the 12th annual Fill the Bus event is underway outside of several Walmarts across Northwest Arkansas. KNWA's Neely Jones and Gina DeVecchio, meteorologist Gina DeVecchio, are at the Pleasant Grove Walmart in Rogers to tell us why school supplies are so badly needed and how you can help. Guys, how's it going?
It's going great. Actually, Gina is volunteering because they need volunteers as well. So you're just getting me right now. That just kind of happened while we were standing here. Now, you'll notice when you come to Walmart, the sign actually still says, stuff the bus. We just don't want people to be confused. It is Fill the Bus, like you mentioned. There's a good reason for that. We're going to jump on board so you guys can see how the donations funnel in and what happens. But the reason for the name change is because they've partnered with Walmart. This is going national, so something that started right here will be helping folks across the country. But they want to be sure and mention that if you donate in Northwest Arkansas, where you donate, those school supplies will be funneled into schools in that area. So some things they need, things like erasers, note cards, antibacterial. They've got a whole list for you, markers, but people tend to buy the things for the little kids, and they said, remember the adult kids, get things like the backpacks, because those are harder to come by, and they always need more of things like that, and the 3-ring binders. Now, Jonathan, I know you're going to be volunteering out here on Saturday with Dan Scoff. You'll be in Fayetteville. Gina and I will be out here tonight until about 6:30, maybe even 7 o'clock. So we hope folks come out.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Neely. And we will, in fact, be out there, Dan Scoff and I, tomorrow on the Walmart over at MLK, I believe it is. Hey, if you want to stop by to drop stuff off, here's a quick rundown of where and when you can go. Buses are parked outside of Walmart Supercenters in Siloam Springs, Bentonville, and in Fayetteville on both MLK and Mall Avenue. There will also be sites in Rogers, Huntsville, and even Springdale. Drop-off times will last until 8:30 tonight and from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. tomorrow. The United Way says the most needed items, as Neely just mentioned, backpacks for older kids, pencils, paper, and even some folders. Heads up, parents, you better be prepared to spend a little bit more on back-to-school supplies this shopping year. According to the National Retail Federation, the average family will spend about $669. That's about 5% more than last year. We're told increased spending on school supplies is the biggest reason for the rising costs. Experts say as school budgets tighten, parents are being asked to buy more of their child's supplies. Stores aren't seeing a huge back-to-school crowd just yet, but they are ready for parents looking to fill out those lists. KNWA's Kyle Lamberger visited the Fayetteville Target today. He joins us live from the control room with a closer look. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Jonathan, that's right. The store manager says foot traffic is picking up, and shoppers today say they're getting it done early to avoid the chaos as the school year gets closer.
We were just out doing a little early back-to-school shopping today.
Ginny Luther says hitting the store ahead of time offers a better selection.
Things get picked over, so we're trying to find a great backpack and lunchbox.
The National Retail Federation expects spending to increase this year, but Luther is only buying the necessities.
We have decided to reuse my son's backpack from last year. It was in good shape and it was a good size for him.
I'm here shopping for my classroom.
Gentry teacher Heather Fox says after 11 years, she has the essentials.
Now I get to kind of buy the fun stuff to go in the room and decorate it more and make it kind of feel like home for the kids.
And she's making this year's shopping easier on students, too.
As a third grade teaching team, we've actually tried to drop our school list down so parents don't have to buy as much.
Target store manager says it's too early to tell if spending is up.
Won't know for another 2 or 3 weeks, especially, move-in week and tax-free weekend will be a telltale sign.
But as summer slips away, the school supply aisles will be packed.
We'll have 70% of the people that are in the store in this hit block area.
It's always sad to say goodbye to summer, but it's always fun to look forward to starting school with some new supplies.
The NRF survey also asked school shoppers how the economy is impacting spending plans. They say the impact is down from 2009, but 8 out of 10 say they're still affected. And more than 1/3 of families plan to buy store brand items to save cash, while 1/4 say they'll make do with supplies from last year. I'm Kyle Landberger, KNWA Northwest Arkansas News.
All right, Kyle, thanks so much for that report, sir. In other news, it's a setback for the group wanting to make alcohol sales legal in all Arkansas counties. The Arkansas Secretary of State's office says the alcoholic beverage amendment did not get enough verified signatures. After some signatures were disqualified, the measure needs an additional 17,133 signatures to make it onto the November ballot. Now, members of the group Let Arkansas Decide have 30 days to collect all those extra needed signatures. The temps will be warming up for the weekend, which means more folks are expected to hit the trails out in Fayetteville, and it'll be just in time for the city's Meet Your Trails series. The program kicked off back in May as part of a push to get more families outside and more active. It continues this weekend with the bicycle tour of the recently completed Clear Creek Trail in Fayetteville. Each month, the city administrator will lead a walking tour in hopes of showcasing a different part of the trail system. The next walk kicks off this Saturday at 8 a.m. over at the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Speaking of getting outdoors, runners, walkers, and even cyclists in Fayetteville are now using a very unique trail crosswalk. The city installed it a couple of months ago at the Frisco Trail crossing at South School Avenue. The high-intensity activated crosswalk, or short for HAWK, is one of the first in Arkansas, and it works a bit differently than your traditional signals. A flashing yellow light means a pedestrian needs to cross and drivers should use caution. A solid yellow light means drivers should stop if possible. Meantime, solid red lights mean stop for crossing pedestrian, and flashing red lights mean drivers should stop first and then drive on if there are no pedestrians. And we've got all that information because it's quite a bit listed for you on our website. In case you haven't heard about it, Whole Foods is about a month away from groundbreaking in Fayetteville. It's just one of the stores headed to the area's new 57,000 square foot shopping center. The groundbreaking ceremony is set for Wednesday, August the 13th on College Avenue. The store is expected to bring as many as 140 jobs and could generate more than $1 million in sales tax revenue each and every year. The new shopping center is expected to open in fall of 2015. A familiar chant now officially belongs to the Hogs. According to Forbes, the University of Arkansas is now the rightful owner of the Woo Pig Suey Hog Call. This after receiving a registered trademark from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. The move means federal protection for the University of the sounds, along with where and when a game day crowd can shout the call in perfect unison. While the application for the trademark only happened in 2013, the staple chant for Razorback fans dates as far back as the mid-1920s. Centerton police have closed their investigation into an injured dog originally thought to have been burned by fireworks. Now investigators say that may not have been the case. According to police, the owner of Tinkerbell, also known as Moxie, claims the injuries were caused from her repeatedly digging and crawling under his fence. In an officer's report, a veterinarian who treated the dog said the injuries could have happened that way. The dog's owner, Douglas Crawford, was cited for violating violating the city's animal at large, dog tag, and animal cruelty ordinances. Here's the latest picture of Tinkerbell, who's now recovering at the shelter. She'll remain there until the case is settled in court. To read the full police report, all you have to do is check out nwahomepage.com. You could call it taxidermy with a twist, a rare way to remember your pet long after its passing. Question is, would you do it?
Kind of weird.
Can't make it shake or roll over. It's just a little weird and creepy for me.
From stories that I've heard, it's just nasty.
As it turns out, there's enough people wanting the service in Arkansas to keep the only pet preservation place of its kind in the natural state in business. Extreme Taxidermy in the city of Romance puts a unique spin on the already rare remembrance.
I can hold him and pet him and tell him I love him. I'm glad you're home. The thought of putting him under the ground or cremation was not in my mind. I couldn't do it.
For people like Marita Ross, pet preservation is the only way to hold on to her pet forever. And lucky for Marita, her son Daniel actually owns Extreme Taxidermy.
Nobody in the world makes a styrofoam mold for these pets, because they're all different sizes and shapes.
Daniel says once people found out they could keep their pet forever, the requests poured in, including this very odd one.
I want you to freeze dry my spider monkey, sitting on a limb holding a beer can with the ashes of my dead husband in the beer can. Somebody thinks I'm crazy for doing this, and that's not the case at all. I mean, the thing is that we all deal with it differently.
Well, okay, keeping your dog or cat permanently can be pretty expensive. Pets up to 10 pounds are $725, and it's about $50 for every pound thereafter. If you haven't already booked your summer vacay just yet, you'll want to do it now. That's because an airline ticket price hike is on the way, but it's not because of baggage fees or even fuel expenses. We'll explain. But first, rebuilding months after a devastating tornado. Could the destruction in central Arkansas have been prevented? We'll take a closer look. That's next.
It was nice while it lasted. Of course, we're talking about a break from the summertime heat, but that's about to change next week. Find out how warm the temperatures get and what the reason is for the warm-up. We'll have it after the break.
Live from the Dixon in HD, Jonathan Martinez, Neely Jones, and Weather Authority Dan Scoff. This is KNWA News at 5. Now, from your Northwest Arkansas Weather Authority, Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff.
Well, you might remember Monday we had temperatures in the lower 90s, but over the last 4 days we have been really cool. In fact, record-breaking yesterday, the day before that on Wednesday, and then this afternoon our temperatures hit the lower 70s. Not quite as cool as yesterday with a few peaks of sunshine breaking out. But we destroyed the record. Again, 78 degrees. This is the low maximum temperature, meaning the coolest the high temperature was for this July 18th. And I think by now, you know what the low maximum temperature is. We've been talking about it a while. 80 degrees set back in 1897. Now, that is a super long-standing record. Back all the way in the late 1800s, annihilated that record too in Fort Smith. Fort Smith only hit 73 degrees. So yes, another record-breaking cool day. In fact, Tulsa most likely didn't even get above, didn't get to 80 degrees today, and that would mark the first time in recorded history that the city of Tulsa never hit 80 degrees in 4 days. So that is pretty impressive. Yeah, it was a pretty significant cool blast. Say goodbye to it. Say hello to summer warmth. Some of you are loving that. On Facebook, you've been commenting and that we are going to see some warmer weather, and you're ready for that. You're ready to lay out by the pool, get that suntan, and soak up the warm summer sun. Now, you'll notice as we look at our pattern over the past week, we've had a dip in the jet stream across the central U.S., very hot on the West Coast. You know, when it's cool on the East Coast, it's hot on the West Coast. Guess what? Next week, it's cool on the West Coast. It's going to be hot over the central and eastern sections of the U.S. because we are going to go over a total pattern change. Jet stream goes way up to the north, moves into Canada. That keeps all the cool air northward. High pressure shifts to the east and expands eastward, and it is going to get warm. But there's a hint that maybe by the end of the forecast, by the end of the week next week, we'll have another cool blast for the following week, 2 weeks out. I don't believe that quite yet, but maybe a break from the heat again in a couple of weeks. 72 degrees right now. Winds are out of the south-southeast at 8 miles an hour. It's in the lower 70s across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. 69 degrees in Poto. Lots of cloud cover. Nearly 80, though, in Grove. Future track, yeah, it didn't happen. Those little isolated showers, just like we were saying, didn't buy that. Tomorrow morning, temperatures in the mid to lower 50s. Possibly another record-breaking low possible tomorrow morning as temperatures hit the mid-50s. Tomorrow afternoon, we are looking really nice, lower 80s, middle 80s, and then the warming trend really cranks it up a notch. As on Seinfeld, I can't remember his name now.
I can't.
George Costanza.
There you go. Remember his wallet.
Yeah, exactly. And I have one just like it. As you'll see, pleasant weekend over the weekend on Sunday in the mid to upper 80s, lower 90s Monday, Tuesday in the lower 90s, and then we're really cranking it up a notch, hitting the mid 90s by next Friday. And next weekend, Jonathan, we could be seeing nearly 100 degrees. So. Yeah, it's going to get a little warm.
It's pretty hot.
Warmer than the Southamptons.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Dan. Happening around Arkansas, it's been nearly 3 months since a powerful EF4 tornado carved a path of destruction across the state. 16 lives were lost along with many homes. Some experts believe those numbers could have been decreased with stricter building codes and improved construction techniques. After an EF5 tornado killed 24 people in May of 2013, the city council in Moore, Oklahoma voted to strengthen residential building codes. But so far, there hasn't been any such push in Arkansas.
When you start changing your codes and require more, you're going to increase the cost of the houses. I think that may, at this point, be better left up to the homeowner, the builder.
Some homes destroyed in the April tornado here in Arkansas were determined not to be in compliance with codes already in existence. A small dog with an impressive set of ears, and she could be all yours. We'll introduce you to Connie in our Pet of the Week segment coming up next. But first, how you can help keep the doors open at a local museum. That's a great story, too, you don't want to miss. And as we head to break, we want to remind you that each and every Monday and Friday, KNWA salutes area servicemen and women. If there's somebody you know that you'd like to nominate, just email us their picture along with information to news@knwa.com. And you've got to put "We Salute" in that subject line. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. The price of your airline ticket may be on the rise, and it's not because of fuel expenses or even baggage fees, rather an increase in a security fee that's starting next week. The fee hike is actually part of an act by Congress as part of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2013, with most of the money being used to help pay down the federal deficit, and it could have a bigger impact on travelers who use smaller airports. According to industry trade organization Airlines for America, about 21% of ticket fares go toward government fees and taxes already. With the new price hike, it's estimated travelers will pay, get this, $1 billion more per year in added taxes and fees. Happening now, the Northwest Arkansas Air and Military Museum needs your help. It's struggling to keep the doors open due to a lack of visitors. So to help cover the cost, the museum is hosting a monthly special event called Airport Days. Tomorrow, July the 19th, marks the second one. The entire family can actually come out and have a great time and see historic airplanes and learn more about aviation history.
We just want everybody in the area to know that we're here, we're a good resource. It's educational, it's fun, it's historic, and the museum can use the help.
Airport Days will run you $5 for children and $10 for adults, and that even includes a pancake breakfast along with burgers and hot dogs for lunch. For directions to the museum, just check out our website. Up next, we'll check back in with Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff. He'll have a final look at the forecast, including that weekend forecast. Stay with us.
We have a wonderful NWA pick of the day. Kind of sums up everything that we saw throughout the week. Morning dew from Wednesday. Notice that little bit of dew, and that's because temperatures really dropped during the overnight hours. Tomorrow morning, another dewy morning. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s to begin the morning. During the afternoon, we hit the lower 80s. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. Just a few high clouds drifting in from time to time. Gets warmer on Sunday as highs hit the upper 80s. Notice those morning lows climbing. We're talking about temperatures in the lower 90s, heat indices close to 100. Then we have a very weak front that tries to move in Wednesday and Thursday. That's going to be the only relief from the heat within the next 10 days. and Friday and Saturday of next week. Ooh-wee, it is going to be a scorcher, Jonathan.
All right, so you said crank up the heat.
We're cranking it up a notch.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Dan. She may be small, but today's Pet of the Week, Connie, has a very impressive set of ears. Lane Baker introduces us to this furry friend who's staying at the Springdale Animal Shelter for now.
This is Connie. She's around 2 years old. We think she's a terrier mix of some sort with the most interesting ears. So for those of you viewers out there in TV land that are on a budget and looking to score some free HBO, all you need is some aluminum foil. She can hook you up. She's been here for quite a while. She's been great with everybody she meets. She's just one of those ones that we don't understand why keeps getting overlooked. So we're looking to get her out of here. She's very friendly. We all love her. She's a volunteer favorite, and she's just been here too long, guys, so somebody come get her. You just come down the shelter, fill out an application. If everything looks good and your landlord or whatever approves, we'll do a meet and greet with Connie and your dogs, and just make sure everybody gets along, and we'll get her spayed and sent out the door for you guys to take her home.
All right, as we bring this show to a close, we want to check in with Lane Baker. She's standing by over on the Fox News Edge at 5:30 set. Hey, Lane, what do you got on tap for us?
Hey, Jonathan. Well, immigration, obviously a very controversial issue right now, and an anti-immigration group protesting in Little Rock today. We'll have more from that rally coming up.
All right, and be sure to tune in to Lane. Meanwhile, we will see you back here at 6, and we'll check in with Neely Jones, who's out on assignment to stuff the bus. You don't want to miss that. We'll see you back here in just a minute.